Hello, everyone. I am Jewel, your host. I was thinking for some reason, it says live viewers, um, and to um, support me by sending stars. Help me earn money to make more content. And I get stars, and for some reason, um, it's not letting me know that I have stars until after the fact. But tonight we are on, and I want to do something different. I kind of wanted to have fun. I kind of want to talk about real issues. I want to talk about what it's like. There's so many topics. And so, with that being said, let me see what I can say about that. I've got all kinds of notes here. I'm trying to uh, just be transparent. I'm trying to uh, put on my glasses. I got the wrong glasses. I'm kind of out. But with that being said, everyone, welcome to Simply Jewel. We are live for Saturday night. Um, let's see. What I want to talk about is caring for grandkids. You know uh, how we communicate, judgment, um, issues in the world, why we don't listen to people. Um, Again, I've got a lot of interruptions coming in. It's crazy. And everybody should, well, everybody doesn't know. But you know what? I'm going to do my hair tonight, and I got one of those brushes, where you brush your hair and it gives you your waves. I can't wait to try this. So I got mine. Somebody let me know if you got yours, and if you did, um how you like it. So yeah. Okay. Well, with that being said, come on in the room and let's talk. And then we're going to see, we're going to welcome anybody that wants to come on, anyone that wants to talk about life, because in this day and age, there's a lot we can talk about. Um, like I say, it's a season or a lifetime, or what did I say? A reason, a season, or a lifetime. And how are people communicating? How are people, being transparent? Let's see. Like I said, you can support me by sending stars to help me earn more content. I've got new stuff going on. I've got new ideas, so we're gonna change. And I just tried to be presentable today. I haven't worn my hair like this since I was in high school, and that's because I always had a perm. But I've been natural since, I don't know, since, I want to say 2013, but maybe 2015. I don't know, but it's too long, and I'm just trying new styles. So with that being said, let's get Dr. Dorothy on here. I see you. I see you. I see you.
Cloudy with temperatures ranging from 80
There
degrees
she is.
Fahrenheit to 60 degrees Fahrenheit.
Uh-oh, you got something on. She's got something on. We'll give her a chance to turn whatever she has on off. And like I said, I'm going to get my glasses, and so stand by for me, okay? Stand by. I'll get my glasses. Okay, I'm back. Thank you, everyone. I had to get my glasses. Let's see if Dr. Dorothy is ready yet.
Ready? I was making sure that I was on vibrate with my phone, and all of a sudden it just started talking. So
Oh,
I
okay.
got it
I
on as
had to
quickly as possible, so there shouldn't be any more interruptions.
I had to do that myself, and I'm seeing everything. I'm seeing people coming by. I'm seeing uh, text messages. I'm seeing all kinds of stuff on my phone. So I turned the volume off or down, and I also turned a few things down. Uh, let's see. And okay. Like I said, I just wanted to talk about some things because, like I said, people are trying to be entertained, but at what point, and I keep asking this question, at what point do we, um, what can I say? Get serious and have hard conversations and agree to disagree. I was watching TikTok the other night, and I saw where um this guy was talking to anybody. Of course, election time is just a few days away, and some people were upset and some people were laughing that uh people were upset and had no reason to be upset. Um, and then some that were not one affiliated one way or the other, but had a comment. And so, I stayed on that platform for probably a year or hour just to see how they were going to do, what they were going to do, how they were navigating their conversation. And it was quite interesting. So I can tell people are going to different platforms just to have conversation because people are still not used to socializing with people on a regular basis since we've had to sit so long um, and do other things. But now people are finding different platforms to uh, talk on and get involved in and voice their opinion, and not so much just being entertained, but literally having conversations. And that's kind of like what I was saying, let's connect, let's talk, let's say what we mean and mean what we say. There's too many mixed messages, um, there's too many mixed messages, and the type or the lack thereof causes stress. But it's just so much we could talk about. So what have you been up to, and how do you feel about um commu- the lack thereof, communicating and stuff like that?
Well, I think that what what you've been describing, or what I hear you having described, is what I'd call one of two things: either manipulation or misinformation. And I think both of those things occur much too regularly for me. It's been decades since I felt comfortable listening to a news program, a national news program, where it seemed that I was getting the basic information that's contained in any news article, the five W's and H if possible: who, what, when, where, why, and how. Before I hear that now, I hear a spin being put on basic information in order to influence the thinking of the people who are listening. So it's either manipulation or misinformation, and a third would be disinformation. It's hard to know what's propaganda and what is just bare facts news. And so we have some conflicts going because most of it or much of it has to do with the receivers, the listeners, uh, belief in the speaker. And usually we don't know those speakers if they're on national forum. We don't know who they are. We haven't been able to vet them. And they come up with all kinds of information, which, when fact checked, turns out to be false information or
Yeah,
distorted information.
that's true.
Yeah, people have a lot to say, but there has to be a sifting of what they're saying.
Well, that's true. Like now, let's just say, just like they're getting information and they don't know the whole story. And I noticed that too about one particular, or when they were talking, and the guy said, well, who told you that? And then he gave his information, and to let them know that they were misled and they didn't get the right information. So yeah, that's interesting too, how um people uh not get the right information. I'm just trying to figure out how to turn this one down. I'm getting all kinds of static myself. Well, so while we're talking, let me ask you this. What do you think about um, grandkids being cared for by their grandparents or other loved ones? Just same thing, getting the wrong information, and then all of a sudden, um, it's an issue where the grandparents have to start taking care um, of their kids, of their grandkids, which is why I have the topic. For anything that we talk about today, there's a season, a reason, or a lifetime. There comes a time where people have to start doing research and start um, uh, getting involved so that they know exactly what's going on, and if they're getting the wrong information. But just like taking care of the grandkids, I think it was Winona Judd, I saw that she's now taking care of her 2-year-old and that grandchild, and the information that people are saying and the rude things that people are saying without knowing the whole story.
Well,
What do
well,
you?
well, I worked for the health department in Colorado for 13 years. And this is back in the 80s. Grandparents were taking care of their grandchildren then. This is nothing new. It may affect more people, more ethnic groups, but the Black grandparents that I came in contact with, and there were thousands of them, were doing that because that's part of the Black culture. We take care of our own. And when we
Yes,
had all of the horrible drug use back in the 80s, and parents were incapable of taking care of their children, then grandparents who did not want their children in the foster care system took over the responsibility for care. So that's nothing new. It may be for Winona Judd and her uh, family group or ethnic group or socioeconomic group or whatever. but it's nothing new with Black people.
Well, that we do know. We've always done that. Same thing with nursing home. Hi, Marie. Marie is saying she was waiting and she gave up and went to bed. Marie, we come on at 6 p.m. It is a little late because I had an important phone call right when we were going live, right at 6 o'clock, and I had to take that call. But thank you. Yes, feel free to share, 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 and listen for a while. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. So, yeah, we've always taken care of our own, and we've also taken care of our own who were um, without putting them in a nursing home. I do know, and I think I posted that as well. There's, see what I mean? There's so much stuff going on in the world. I let me see if I can find that. One of the football players' wife has a early onset of Alzheimer's, and instead of putting her in the nursing home, he's taking care of his wife. She's only 53 and started, they said she had been suffering for the last, I think, 4 or 5 years. So once again, we don't have a problem. But then again, I will say this, um, if you are able to care for your loved one, great. But there are some that cannot. They are not medically inclined. They don't understand and how to keep a person safe. That's when you have to come together and communicate and come up with a plan um, to care for your loved one, because it's not safe if you really don't know how to care for your loved one and you do it because it can help reduce financial burdens, but that's not always a great way to take care of a loved one. But for those that really know how to take care of their loved ones and keep them safe, you know, we've been doing that for years. You're right. So, how we communicate is another issue I have because, you know, people think they're communicating, but they're not communicating. And I also want to say, moving forward for me, um, I'm not going to be doing all the leg work. There's people that would always say, send me the link, send me the link. I think if people have been following me for a while, they between 6 and 7 is when we come on, and YouTube is where you grab the link, which, with that being said, it should be on there. Yes, I think that I did put it on YouTube. So if anybody wants to grab the link, please feel free to do so. And let me see. I'll check to see if it's on there so that you can put the link or grab the link. And, even if you're in bed, you guys, there's other people that have lives and they have their followers. They put on their avatar. They may be in bed and they still will communicate. You don't have to be dressed up. I just felt the need to dress up because I haven't worn my hair like this in a long time, and I had to do something to make it look presentable. So let me see. I'm gonna try and put the link in there just for those that may want to come on and talk about it. And we were talking about judgment. But what I was going to ask you about was what was it that I had? I have my little notes, but a lot of common sense is not common anymore, but we do know that there's a lesson to be learned. You know, And I want to talk about that, for people to do their research when they're reading. We're all over the place, Dr. D. But once you see that people uh, aren't aligning with you, what do you think? Uh, does it mess with your spirit, or do you just go a different way? Do you tell the person, or do you just let them think what they want to think and keep going? Because I always say, you meet people for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. That's something we can talk about.
Well, each person is an independent thinker, or I would like to believe that each person is an independent thinker. Now, we're not all at the same place at the same time in terms of being able to handle the information flow. So we
Right.
may be at different places. And one of the things we may not do is take the time to establish commonalities, to establish what we have in common, whether it's experience, whether it's vocation, education, or whatever. We make a lot of assumptions, and I tried to capture that years ago when I was working in diversity as a business initiative. And that was this concept of biography. It simply says that you and I meet. We share, we can meet at a cocktail party, we could meet in the library, we could meet at King Super or Safeway. But we spend the time initially giving the who, what, the demographics. I'm I live in Aurora. I live in Westminster. I'm from wherever. And we share enough about each other to feel comfortable initially with each other. From that point on, typically, and I say typically, what people do each time those two people meet again is to add on to that basic information. Now, they may add on facts, or they may begin to interpret facts. But what one person ends up doing, and the other one does also, it's not one sided, but we start constructing a story about these people, a storyline. Maybe it's because of what was it, soap operas all those years ago? But we start making up stories about people, and we don't take the time to check the accuracy of what we have constructed. And so you may come up with an entirely different version of me than I come up about me, and vice versa. I may do the same thing, especially when there are commonalities that are obvious. Take astrological signs, for example. Uh, I have a sister whose excuse or whatever is, well, I'm a Leo. And I guess she expects that every Leo she meets is going to be her identical twin in terms of thought, values, and all of the rest of it. So we have to take the time to check to make sure that let me not do we, I have to take the time to check and make sure that what I have constructed is based on accurate information from the other person. That takes time.
Well, and maybe she thought, because there is a such thing as a twin flame where you think alike, etc., etc. But that's a good point. But the thing is, people don't act upon that. So that's another issue. They, in their mind, they think this way, but then they don't act upon it. So that's something that maybe we can get more people to elaborate on if we had more people to talk about it, because everybody expects to be treated a certain way. But now,
But do
doggone
I
it.
say to you, I expect to be treated this way, that way, the other way when we initially meet? Or again, do I start making determinations without checking?
Well,
And
some people
so,
do,
yeah,
but then, yeah, some people do, and some people will check and still not get an answer. Some people will ask and still not get an answer. I've done that many a times, and I've asked people, "What's your beef with me?" and they still won't say. So,
well,
yeah,
maybe they don't have one. Maybe
well,
they don't. Think about it. Maybe what you have read into a situation is your interpretation of it. And if I,
oh no, 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 no. I
well,
can tell by the way people act.
well,
You know, like they say,
I'm talking about me. If I
okay,
tell you, Jewel, or Bob, or John, or whomever, I don't have a beef with you. The one
yeah.
thing I pride myself on is honesty. And that's because my parents were Southerners and they believe that you tell the truth and shame the devil. They
Well,
just
that's what
believe
I
it. And that's
say.
how they taught all seven of us. And to varying degrees, each one of us is like that. So if the old saying among the Southerners is this: if I tell you a hen dipped snuff, look under the left wing and you'll see the box of Garrett snuff. Now that is really dating it, and that's from my parents' generation and the
Mm,
things that they said. But there were basic values that they adhered to and that they taught and expected their kids to obey. And so I'm speaking only for myself. I try not to generalize, although I fall into that trap also. But I try not to generalize. I try only to speak for myself. If I am referencing something that I've read that I agree with, I'll be able to tell you the title of the book, the author's name, and probably the chapter that I read it in. So
okay,
I can't speak for anybody else. Maybe I'm the
okay.
only one who feels that way, and that's okay. I'm comfortable with that. But people don't understand, most of us don't understand how very difficult communication is. Communication is a learned skill. We aren't born knowing how to communicate, because one of the things
Yeah.
that we don't do is we don't take authority over what comes out of our mouths. And that's what I have to be ready to be responsible for. So I have to speak my truth, and I can share other people's opinions, certainly, but it's communication between the sender and the receiver has so many ups and downs in between. It's not even funny, because you
Well,
think
that's
you
part of that's
understand what I said, but what you heard is not what I meant. That's a quotation I used to use in training. We think we do, but we don't check. We don't ask the probing questions. And the question after the initial question, after the second question, after the 10th question. But that for me is how communication starts and continues.
yeah, but and I agree with that, but I also agree with the fact that we also have to um say if it's not understood. Did I
Mhm.
hear this properly? Or be respectful of the person, because everybody's got feelings, and the way that it's interpreted could be something totally different. But I grew up in a time where my parents would say actions speak louder than words. So that's it. That's why
That's
I
your
say
that's
it's
your
a
value.
conversation that needs to be had. But yeah, so wait a minute. So moving, so we'll come back to that. We'll see if anybody's gonna come on and if they're going to put their 2 cents in it, and that's okay, because I'd like to hear what people have to say. Say what you mean and mean what you say. I don't want to have to guess and try to figure out if a person didn't say it to me. Like they say, if it didn't come from the horse's mouth, I didn't hear it. Okay. So here's the thing, June, we're in the last week of June, where there is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. Um, and there's a lot of men that I showed something last week. I don't know if you were available, but there was a doctor. He's also on Instagram. He's starting to connect with the men. They're starting to become transparent and heal. And like they say, now what's that book? Women are for Venus and men are from Mars,
Men
or
are from Venus and women are from Mars.
okay,
John
that
Gray,
book.
Dr. John Gray is the author of that book.
Yes, and that's the one
Men are from Mars, women are from Venus. Excuse me, that's the correct title. Men are from Mars, women are
women
from
are from Venus.
two distant planets from each other.
Hmm. And the men were on it. Let me tell you, they were being transparent. And I saw a live where JoJo, what is it, Run DMC, runs. They had a show on Run's World or something with his wife and family and kids, and JoJo has grown up, and let me tell you, that conversation, I would love to share it. They did say share it out, but I was hoping to get some guys on to talk about, um, trying times, what they're going through, their growth, trying to get men to listen. They were even saying that, they communicate different, and um, how their thought process, of course, is different, but growing up and the things they needed to get over, the things that hurt them growing up, the things that they thought they didn't have or get from their father growing up. And let me tell you, that was something. I really enjoyed that. So I was looking forward to some of the guys coming on so that they can talk about how they're healing, their healing process, what they're doing, and how active they are, um, just trying to get through this thing called life. I thought it was really good.
One of the things that I remember from that book, and that book was published at least 2 decades ago,
Right.
was Dr. Gray's explaining the difference between really one letter of the same word and how men hear something when you use the term would you instead of asking could you. See,
Yeah.
would you is concrete. It could is a possibility that has all kinds of tentacles to it. But he said that most women will say to their husbands or significant others, could you take the trash out? They're going to pick it up tomorrow. And he says, yeah, but he doesn't take the trash out. However, when she would ask, would you take the trash out? That requires a yes or no. And he talks all the way through the book about the difference in the ways that men and women think. And
Yeah.
we are from different planets. And we do use different language, but most of us, and I can't speak for all women, but we think we're being really specific when we ask, and we're not because they're not hearing it. See, it depends on what you hear. You and I could say the same thing to a different person, and that person would hear m- more than two different things being said.
That
Because,
is true.
yeah, it goes through that interpretation loop very quickly, and people are very smart. They think very quickly, and they jump to conclusions. And that's, I think, part of the problem. We do too much jumping to conclusions, and
Well, I don't know about that because if you're asked and then the defense mechanism comes up because there are some people that will ask and the receiver may get defensive because either one, they know that they should have whatever should have communicated, or just the simple fact that um, they didn't like what was said because it was the opposite way. Because everybody is going to be different. If you're on the receiving end, nobody likes to be what some people say chastised or scolded. But if it was on the giving end, then that person would want that person to understand here, this is what I'm saying. But see, I'm not confrontational, but I am going to ask the person because I want to know that I know that I know that I know, then I can form a decision or form an opinion based on how I'm being treated
well,
because everybody's different, like you said.
it sounds
Everybody's different.
like you're describing the current political season. Think about it. How
Political
different.
season,
Yeah, the politics of it. We have an election coming up. We have primaries going on all the time.
right?
In fact, the primary for Colorado it's due next Tuesday. And the beautiful thing about Colorado is that we have mail-in balloting and we have drop boxes, and we've had that for the last probably 20 years, which is really
Yeah.
fantastic. That was just a commercial about voting because it's so important to me. But the political season presents us now, as far as I'm concerned. I'm speaking for Dorothy T. Clark. The political season now presents us with two distinct choices, but based on the demographics, based on the diversity within this society, the two different sets of people can hear one person saying the same thing and come away with entirely different interpretations.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
And
and
that's
don't
daily.
add the
That's
labels, don't add the political labels, because now the independents are going to become very, very important in terms of voting and all of that. And it's exciting, but you're going to hear, and that's why I began by saying manipulation or misinformation or really disinformation. You got to strain what you hear. It's like the old fashioned colanders that my mother used to use. You know, when she'd pour that spaghetti or whatever pasta it was in that colander and start that hot water on it, she was flushing out if she had used some sort of liquid oil, she's flushing all of that out. So my obligation, not just during the presidential seasons, my obligation is to flush out the stuff that I don't understand or agree with or accept, and then be allowed to make my own decision about it.
Well,
But,
that's the way it should be
but
because
it's
a
not.
lot of people, like I say, depending on what people are talking about or going through this day and age in 2024, people are not going to stand for certain things. People expect to be treated a certain way, or they expect to say what it is that's bothering them so that they can move forward or not, or grow together or not. See, that's the problem that I have is that here we are in 2024. There's so many tools that people can use to get through. All this stuff that some people are doing makes no sense. Here we are, you know, even the negativity on certain social platforms. At what point do we get over that? Why is it that we can only be entertained by drama? That shouldn't be, because people are going, life is lifing. And why is it that we can't just say, even something simple, this is what's happening. This is what I can do. This is what I can't do. Or just something simple like, just say, I'm not at this time. I cannot do XYZ. But like you said, it's learned. But how I can understand it if they're 15 to 25 years old. Maybe they didn't get the tools, but 30 to 90, there's got to be a way to have some growth. There's got to be a way to change some bad habits, or some people say, oh, that's just the way, like you said, that's just the way so and so is. Not
I
in
didn't say that.
2024.
I didn't
No, you were
say.
saying somebody said, you were saying, bringing up a subject or bringing up a conversation and said, oh, that's just the way the person is. But here we are in 2024. Why is that acceptable? Why are we giving people passes to continue
Because
not to have?
we have always given people passes. We
Well, it's
You can
2024.
go back to the 1952 presidential election between Adlai Stevenson and Dwight D. Eisenhower. And in fact, they ran against each other twice, uh, uh, 4 years apart. And Stevenson lost. Now, the reason I know all of that is because I was a kid, but I grew up in Chicago, and Adlai Stevenson lived in Chicago. He was a native of Illinois. So it was part of social studies and all of those classes in elementary school. So people have always used the political process to manipulate. It's just that it's gotten, for me, unbearable by now. And
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I believe it turns more people off than gets them engaged in the process, because our kids need to understand the political process. But in so many schools, Jewel, they stopped teaching social studies 25 years ago. It's not part of the curriculum, which
Well,
is
that we
why
know.
the governor of Louisiana, who just said that he's going to make sure that a copy of the Ten Commandments is in every classroom in Louisiana, ought to be laughed out of court because he's certainly going to be sued about the separation between church and state. And in fact, the Ten Commandments wasn't the first set of commandments. The Hammurabi Code was the first set of commandments. So you see, but when people are lulled into a sense of security, when they think, oh, fun, we don't have to take social studies anymore. Oh, fun, we don't have to learn what the Constitution is and what it means. Because the majority of people misinterpret the Second Amendment as giving them the right to bear arms. That is not what the Constitution says. It does
Yeah,
not.
but people don't, people have different interests and different ways of interpreting things. But again, you're right about that. People pick, that's like the Bible. People pick and choose what they want to, what they get out of the Bible and say God said. But listen, so yeah, that we're gonna find the people don't even now people some are understanding history. Some people didn't care about history in school, but now they're older and they like history. But then there's other things that they lack in. So we all are created and we all have a passion and we all have something that we can do to make us great. But the way we interpret and the way we convey and the way we try to explain to people, that's a whole nother story. Well, here's Marie. Like she said, life is too short for me to worry about what other people think, say, or do. And that's true. We're in a time where you would think people would grow. You would think people would mature. We used to say that back in the day. How old are we? And try to get people to be more mature. You've got grown people acting like kids and kids acting more mature than some of these grown people. Uh-oh, I'm getting another call. Then can you go ahead and talk about something else? I'm going to take this real quick. Can you take the lead for a minute?
Yeah, we'll talk about communication, and we'll talk about the importance of learning how to communicate. You see, we do make a lot of assumptions about just about everything. Yes, each person has an opinion about all kinds of things, but we don't really teach one of the main components of communication, and that is the skill of listening. There's a reason we have two ears and one mouth. It's so we can learn to listen. But what most of us do, and I'm as guilty as the next person is, I am not basically thinking about what the person in front of me is saying so much as I'm thinking about ways to refute, to undermine, to disregard what is being said. I'm thinking of my response more than I'm listening to the person speaking. And we could teach a semester's course on the art of listening and do a lot toward improving communication between and among people. There are all kinds of barriers to communication. Generational gaps is one of those barriers. Different generations use different words, phrases, terms, and the like to make sense of their lives than the one following them or the one preceding them. And so it's like being caught in a catch 22 if you don't have some idea of how to listen, some idea of how to check the information that you're getting for validity. There's a reason textbooks are typically more accurate than someone's opinion in Newsweek or Time or the Washington Post or whatever. There's a reason for those kinds of dichotomies going on. So we need to, and it's never too late to learn to listen. You can go on YouTube. I mean, everything in the world is on YouTube, but you can go on YouTube and get lots of lessons in how to listen and how to listen discriminately and how to hear both sides. And sometimes there's more than two sides to a story.
Well, most of the time, there's more than two sides to the story, sometimes three.
Yeah.
That person's way, your way, and God's way, But yeah, well, that's just all I wanted to, come on and try to figure out how is it that we are still in a way where we're not communicating like we should be. We're not being open and honest like we should be. I think that it is even respect, even is not like it should be. I think we're so lax. There's so much judgment going on. But listen, I'm one to ask. I'm not going to say it behind anybody's back. I'm going to ask the person. And if I don't get the answer, then I will decide how I want to move forward. I'm not one to hold grudges, but but things probably will not be the same unless people show themselves what they say. Show yourself worthy, show yourself approved, because life is too short and we are not in our 20s. So for me, it's imperative that I have a special connection or some kind of rapport with people. Like I said, this is a season you guys are going to see some changes real soon. And I'm not gonna, how I used to go on a fact finding mission. I used to give people chances after chance after chance, but now I am the in a mindset where I feel like I don't have to do it that way. I can pick and choose how I want to, I'm on the downward slope. So I'm picking and choosing how I want to navigate in this thing called life, what's left of it, because like Marie said, life is too short. And if we don't have the tools by now, I'll just look. I don't even know how to explain that. People do need to do some work, and if your friendships or your kinships mean something to you, then you'll work on it. And if it doesn't, then let that person know. Don't keep them guessing. So see, that's why I wanted to have a male's point of view on here, because me and they see things different as well. And there's just a lot out there. These social platforms, like you said, YouTube school, but there's all kinds of platforms where people can listen and gain knowledge. To me, there's no excuse. And hopefully people can grow and gain the knowledge and become, a little more I don't know. Something is missing. That's all I can say. Is something missing in this thing called life? And when are we gonna get something back? I something is missing. That's all I can say. Is something missing? You're in deep thought over there.
No, well,
Anybody in the comments? Go ahead. I'm listening.
I was listening to what you're saying, and my response is you have a right to your opinions.
Of course.
Not for me to evaluate them because we come from different value systems. And I'm not talking about just you and me, I'm talking about people. And people are very simple on the one hand, but awfully complex on the other. And so many things are happening to so many people that we cannot even imagine because we're protected by socioeconomic class, we're protected by all kinds of things. And don't forget the misinformation, the disinformation, and the manipulation. So it's a big topic. It's a big subject, and I give everyone the right. One of the first things I learned when I walked into a classroom 100 years ago is that I give everybody that right, and it's the right to feel the way they feel and to express it within reason. I didn't have kids jumping through hoops and doing backflips in a classroom. There was order, but they had the right to say what they felt.
That's true. Everybody has the right. I just feel like everybody, not only does everybody have the right, but I also feel like, there's a time where uh, that people know the energy that they want to be around. Positive energy is what I am about. And that's the type of energy I want to be around. Some people say they're positive, but they don't. How can I say it? It comes from within. Energy begets energy. People know. People know when they have good energy around them. But for me to be productive and do the things that I need to do, because I'm not where I want to be, but I am not disappointed. I'd like to see things come together a little bit more where it comes to my aspirations, my goals, but to be around people that stagnate you and you don't know which way to go and you've got to prepare and you just don't know, that's what I have decided. Well, I've known this all along, but that's what I don't tolerate. And I think, that's why I say people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime. And some people you hear all the time on a lot of the motivational pages, they'll say, everybody can't come with you to the next level. So some people really get upset when you start breaking away from certain energies, and it's not to be upset unless they're doing the same thing you're doing or have the same energy, and the same tenacity that you have. But that's just what it's all about. Life is all about a reason, a season, or a lifetime. Things come and go, people come and go, places, things, food. Even people that say they didn't like certain things 20 years ago find themselves eating it now, because they had to acquire a taste for it or what have you. So I think about all those things, and, you know, It's just life, and life is forever changing. That's it.
Yep.
Well, we're not going to be on long tonight. It's just I thank you for popping in. And like I said, sorry everybody for the delay. It wasn't technical difficulties, thank goodness, because I was last week, I couldn't even get on Facebook. And the I don't even know, but my thing is you know, you have these different platforms and they're changing, and then this week I clicked on it and there was no problem. So they must have got the memo that I was not happy. And you know, you let people know these things. Don't just do stuff and not tell anybody and that kind of thing. So we'll see what next week brings. I wanted to have fun and talk about some things and talk about what it was like. And, you know, some people like talking about back in the day, some people do not. Maybe they didn't have a good experience, maybe they did. I'm not certain. But we'll see what's what. And we'll try it again next week. Stay on for a minute if you will. I'm going to say goodnight to everyone. And is there anybody on here that wants to say anything? Is there anybody on here? Did you guys share this out? It's not a lot to share, but this will give you a chance to go to the old platforms, do some research. Let's talk about it. You'll see where I want to talk about certain things that, you know, that we don't talk about. You know, everybody wants to be entertained, and I get that. People need to decompress. I get that. But we got to come together and, you know, have some fun, but also develop a rapport with people. There are people that are not on social platforms, and we're going to be walking on. I need to decide if we're going to walk tomorrow or start walking next week. Usually at 7:30 in the morning. And if you guys want to walk, make sure you text me so I can give you the location. I think it's 7:30 or 8 to 9:30 tomorrow. We usually try to do we'll probably start out not with 5 miles. We'll probably work our way up because we used to walk 5 miles every Saturday. But some people have slowed down or stopped for a while. So if you want to walk, we're going to be walking 7:30 tomorrow. Call me for the location. If you are out of town, you know, we used to go live walking and talking. You can get in touch with me. If you are walking from out of town, I will do StreamYard and send you the link. So, or we'll just walk and talk live on Facebook or YouTube. Anything else you want to say, Dr. D?
No, I've enjoyed the time together.
Yeah, we kind of just went all over the place, but that's because I ended up getting interrupted, and so it kind of threw me off. But we'll try it again. As they say, if you don't succeed, try again. All right. So
All
thank
right.
you for coming on. And you guys, we are still going to work on with Dr. D and myself on patreon.com/simplyjewel. If anybody is grieving and they need direction or guidance or Dr. D's book, you guys may want to look at the book. The book is Notes from a Broken Heart. I'll put that up here real quick so you guys can see what it looks like, and make sure you get the book so that you can start reading and you can start enjoying. Um, it's always nice to talk to people who are grieving. It's difficult for some, and some people they can just be around. for a listening ear, but also to be transparent and real. And it's a painful experience, and you don't want to go through everything by yourself. Some people do, but everybody doesn't want to go through everything by themselves. Okay, until next time, everybody, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you, and we'll see if we can let's just what am I trying to say? I'll serenade you on the way out. How about that?
Good night,
Okay.
Marie. Good night,
Good
Julie.
night. Thank you. Stay on for a minute, Dr. D, if you will, okay?
Sure.
Well, guys, we've come to the end. Like I said, I was just on here to see if anybody wanted to talk. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for Marie for commenting. I appreciate you. Have a good night, and good night, everyone.